All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, worldwide on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our still growing family of broadcast affiliates, including Turquoise Radio, Star Media, and the Sirius Satellite Network. 1-800-610-7035 is our toll-free number. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on MSN Messenger, MySpace, Facebook, and all the other social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and our main site, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Here's a question for you, X Zone. Was Jesus part extraterrestrial? Well, my guest this hour is going to offer us proof from the Bible itself. Now, from the first time humans gazed into the night sky, they have wondered if something or someone lives beyond the moon and among the stars. In that vastness, are there other beings, and are they aware of it? Well, according to my guest this hour, Catherine Rozek, who found the answer to the question in a surprising place, the Bible. Studying the ancient text with a 21st century perspective, Jane determined that if God is from the heavens and not from earth, then God can actually be defined as extraterrestrial. Joining me now from her home in beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia, is Catherine Rozek. And Jane, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Tell me about the spiritual awareness that you had that started you on this very fascinating quest.
I was one of the privileged few to be one of the last homesteaders in the wilderness of BC, central BC, and I really needed some power to exist and survive, protect my family. So I decided I would check into this Christianity business and started reading the Bible. But I read it without any church backing or church direction. So what I read really said a lot of different things than what I was raised as a Christian.
What did you find so different from your upbringing to now reading the Bible on your own without any assistance from an organized religious organization?
Well, the Bible talks a lot about strange creatures, angels, demons, the Son of God, supposedly, Jesus Christ, being not from this earth, from another world. That's what he claims to have said in the Bible. So you have to start thinking from an outer space source of information. The heavens, for example, I mean, you hear about, God's from heaven, Jesus Christ came down from heaven. Well, what does heaven mean? Heaven has to mean the outer space because that's above us, right? So you start using the terms in the contemporary 21st century, and it gives you a whole different storyline to that best-selling book.
I agree with you in premise, but the existence of God, angels, or demons has yet to been validified or validated. So how can we take a speculation of existence to mean that these people, God, Jesus, were actually extraterrestrial? How do we get from fiction to fact?
Well, sometimes fiction seems to be more clearly received than fact. The Bible has a lot of people totally against it and totally not in believing anything, or that it's just fable. And yet, when we look at the terms, well, then we can. I mean, even when you say that heaven is out there above us, and that Jesus Christ came down to it, well, that makes it extraterrestrial by the very definition of the term. So heaven is another contemporary word for the outer space.
In theory. Because, once again, there is no proof that heaven exists. There is no proof that hell exists except the lifetime that we have here on this planet. Stand by. You and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Exonation, okay. My guest this hour is Catherine Rozek. She is in Kelowna, British Columbia. She's the author of The Celestial Proposal. And her website is www.thecelestialproposal.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Check us out at www.xzoneradiotv.com, and you can always send me an email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. Don't go away. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. The Celestial Proposal is an intriguing 21st century expose of ancient celestial plan for humans to become the cosmic god beings they were assigned to be. Now, my guest this hour is the author of the book, Jane Catherine Rozek, and she strips away the trite religious terminology to put forward a stunning new way to answer the basic question of life. Who are we, and what are we doing on this planet? Her website is www.thecelestialproposal.com. Now, when we take the Bible that was written so many years ago, it's been translated so many times, how do we know that we're not just looking at a group of writings that people who had no knowledge of science, physics, astronomy, or any of the other established sciences wrote something to try and figure out what life was all about?
If you take the Bible as a book, you can decipher it into main characters, antagonists, protagonists, a storyline even. And the Old Testament would be maybe book 1 in the series, and the New Testament would be book 2. So I believe that we are living in book 3, where the main gist of the story, and bear with me with this, because even if you don't believe in Christianity or have any higher power source in your own life, if you look back in history and you see that that all these men who wrote the Bible over a long period of time, they're all recording something that's very unique in their life, and recording it because they have seen something spectacular, something supernatural.
Or something they just couldn't understand.
Or something they couldn't understand and tried to explain it to themselves. So if you take all those books in the series, you can see a storyline. And what the storyline portrays is that a set of beings, angels, God, somebody who wanted to intervene, to set up an intervention for human species on our planet, they have had purpose in, first of all, in designing us, and second of all, into coming back on the human timeline to set up a series of mentoring events. What are they mentoring for us? They're mentoring, or they're trying to instill some type of, believe it or not, government or a set of moral laws, and that's very prevalent in the Old Testament.
How do we know which holy book is right, and how do we decipher that? Well, let's use the Bible for this hour. How do we know that the Bible is real, that it's nothing more than a science fiction book written by some very creative people?
Well, yes, you can. The wonderful thing is that we get to choose what we want to believe, and if you have a philosophy that works for you, I'm all for it, because my purpose in writing this book is to help people find a reason to live, and then design a game plan to live your life so you do have abundance, so you do have some kind of purpose and happiness in your own life. So I believe that this was set out for us, and it evolves. The whole Bible kind of portrays a plan for a spiritual evolution for our race.
So who is God? Where does God come from? And why hasn't he come back?
Well, those are some very, very good questions. Do you believe in a higher power?
I believe in myself.
So if you believe in any kind of a higher power, then you can call it by many names, right? Because there's lots of world religions, and they all have their good points.
And a lot of them have their bad points. For example, in the Bible, you've got a very vengeful, mean God in the first part of it in the Old Testament. You've got a God who says, "Thou shalt not kill." And yet, he kills Egyptians. He destroys the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. He floods the earth, killing all creatures except 2 of each, Noah and his family. And this is right. I'm a father I would never, ever, ever, ever even entertain the thought of harming my children or anyone else's child. And yet the God yet the God that so many people pray to, devote their lives to, has killed, I don't know how many people, hundreds of thousands, if not millions. And this is to teach us what?
And that's where everybody gets stuck, because if there's only one higher power, and he's responsible for all of this and all the Old Testament cruelties and wickedness, then we're all in trouble, big trouble.
Well, let's go into the New Testament, where he lets his only son be crucified, and his own son says, "Father, Father, why have you forsaken me?" And the Father doesn't do anything.
No, the Father doesn't do anything, because there have been many people who have sacrificed their life to save others.
Yeah.
So we always try to humanize God and make him come down to our level.
But wait a sec. You know, it says in the Bible, and God said, "Let us create man in our image, our likeness." So if we are created in his image, in his likeness, then we are gods.
We are gods. We are gods on this planet. But there is something else ruling our planet.
What's that?
For example, nobody hardly even knows, and yet it's perfectly clear in the Bible that the God of our world right now is Darth Vader or Satan or the devil or whoever you want to see. According to the Bible, it says that the God of this world, it has power over our air. I know that sounds crazy. It does. And not very many people believe in it, unless you're a real fundamental Christian and you believe in demons and devil and Satan and everything else. But it makes sense. Why else is our world such a mess? And it is.
Well, the reason there is a mess is because the reason that it is a mess is because we humans are not perfect.
That's right.
It's called the human factor. And if there is a God, and if there are spacemen out there, and if we are descended from the stars, why don't they come here, show themselves, and help us fix it all?
I think that they respect us and that they want to empower us with spirit, which is now in our world, and they are waiting for for the point where we say, okay, we don't want to do it our way anymore. We're like rebellious children. We're like rebellious God teenagers, and they're waiting for the place and time on our human timeline where we say, okay, we tried. We don't know how to do it as good as the extraterrestrial gods. So we want to have your government. We want your system of laws, and we want it down on earth here. And that's part of the storyline in the Bible.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. With all the millions of people who pray to this deity, and we're just talking about one God, we're not talking about all the other religions that believe in other gods.
Which may be the same.
Well, maybe. They may not exist at all. None of them. How come there is nothing being done to show anyone that these millions of people who are so desperate and are begging for intervention of a spiritual kind or God to do something, the second coming of Christ, and yet nothing's happening? How come?
Well, nothing's happening maybe in your mind or some of the listeners' minds, but others have heard of amazing things happening.
Such as?
Africa has so many miracles happening right now that it's unbelievable. And anybody can test God. Anybody can prove that God exists.
Well, all right. Prove to me that what's going on in Africa are miracles. What kind of miracles?
Well, personally, I have seen miracles myself, small miracles, but I have missionary friends who have raised somebody up from the dead, and it's not that big of a deal over there to use spiritual powers to manifest things or to influence your life or to help your family.
Let me ask you this. The people who are raising the dead, are they good or are they evil?
I think whoever has that kind of spiritual power has a connection to something greater than themselves, and that they can link into it. There's many analogies of God, but look at the World Wide Web. Okay, so if there's a higher power flowing through that individuals can link into to do good things in their life or to help other people, well then it's all on a spiritual realm that they connect into.
But you're looking at it one way. I see the web as being the largest septic tank or a cesspool that man has ever created. I think that the internet, when used by the wrong people, can do a lot of harm.
When used by the wrong people, or if you have a connection to the wrong station, if there's a source of God that people can connect to, a power that they can connect to, then there must also be a source of negativity. Some people have told me that it's like tuning in to either a negative source or a negative, greedy, selfish, cruelty source of emotional power, or a godly source where loving your neighbor and loving that higher power more than anything else results in a whole different set of celestial laws to live by.
Stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exo Nation, my guest this hour is Catherine Rozek. She's the author of The Celestial Proposal. The website is www.thecelestialproposal.com. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. Our website is xzoneradiotv.com. And I'd like to welcome WPBNTV.net to our growing family of worldwide affiliates. My name is Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news right here in the X Zone. Don't go away. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone radio show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7. 365.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Joyce with Stargazing for the X Zone for the week of April 28th. The sun will look like a ring of fire above some remote parts of the southern hemisphere on Tuesday during a solar eclipse, but most people around the world won't get a chance to see it. Whereas lunar eclipses occur when there's a full moon, the solar eclipse only happens during a new moon. Half the world saw the blood moon lunar eclipse during the full moon of April 15th. Tuesday's eclipse will occur when the moon is closest to its farthest distance from the Earth, making it too small to cover the sun completely. The resulting effect looks like a ring of fire called an annulus, and that appears as a silhouette around the moon. Remember, when there's a new moon, there's no moon at all. The worldly application of a Taurus solar eclipse is to help you get in touch with your core values. It blocks out personal ego desires to go right to what your inner spirit wants to manifest. The opportunity is to bring higher values and greater beauty into your life now. The new moon and solar eclipse on Tuesday may send the world into a mild tizzy. Watch North Korea and the Ukraine for major upsets with government. But you will get another opportunity to consolidate whatever advantages you have gained over the past few months. A Taurus new moon is excellent for putting practical effort into your needs and desires. Health and wellness options get a boost early in the week, perhaps prompting you to consider a new diet or exercise routine. There's also positive news on the work front, as changes can mean a boost in earnings or a promotion. If you've been applying for a new job, you may get some good news. Later, Venus glides into Aries, which brings romance and pleasure. Look, your love life is looking much livelier. Enjoy a few social outings. It might help take your mind off some more stressful matters. Perhaps you want to make some changes in your home, new furniture, paint, whatever. Whatever comes your way, you'll probably put a lot of energy into it, so focus and accomplish what you want. Because there's lots of planets in unmovable signs, Taurus and Scorpio, as May opens on Thursday, be careful of stubborn my way or the highway thinking. Warrior Mars is still retrograde until May 19th. Consider what is dead in your life and needs to be released. Know that your highest path is shown if you go into your inner self to seek direction. Continue with hard work early in the week, and then make time for a variety of fun as the month of April ends under a Gemini moon. Gemini wants to keep things on the move, talk to a lot of people, and does not get bogged down in any one thing. Enjoy May Day and the Kentucky Derby on Sunday. Time to plan for some summer fun.
And for more information on Elizabeth Joyce, or if you'd like to book a private consultation, visit her online at www.new-visions.com. That's www.new-visions.com. Exonation, my guest this hour is Catherine Rozek. She spent 10 years in the alpine meadows of the Canadian wilderness, where she shaped a unique spiritual belief system that enabled her to thrive in that harsh, isolated environment. Challenged by necessity, she learned how to activate faith as a creative force that can actually change reality. Now, how did your faith change your reality?
I was pitted up against a lot of dangerous situations out in the bush. So I learned how to rely on that power to give me courage and to do some amazing things. So we had grizzly bears and a lot of dangerous and 40-degree below zero weather. This was something I tested and I tried. The second half of my book talks about implementing that kind of power and how to activate it.
I'm trying to get a grip of the book and what you're doing and why you're doing it. Are you trying to bring on a new version of an old-time religion?
No, I'm trying to prepare people that maybe that old-time religion is actually going to intercede with us in the future. For example, what is the human race going to react? How are they going to react if some big extraterrestrial force comes down, like in the movies, and wants to put their government onto our planet?
Well, let's see. I don't think that's going to happen. If it hasn't happened by now, the chances of it happening are next to none. You know, you've got people that have been searching the skies with all our modern day technology, and nobody yet has brought unequivocal proof that extraterrestrials or UFOs are real.
Well, except SETI has announced that the last count, at least on Googling it, there's supposed to be 20 billion planets in our galaxy alone who could support life. So I guess I'm trying to entertain the idea that maybe that old-time biblical religion, maybe it's all real. And if it's all real, well, then we have to update all the terminology, because in the Bible does say that every eye on the earth will see God when he returns down to our planet, and he will be setting up a kingdom of God. So when I think that the word kingdom, of course, that by definition it means a locale that's governed by a set of laws. Okay, if there is a God, then he has to be big enough to do exactly what he prophesies that he's going to do. And the world, if something like that happened, we would make war with it. And that's exactly what it says in the Bible too. So I really think it's important that people start thinking about that God or gods or angels or demons could actually exist in another realm or spirit essence, and that they are real, and that they will be coming down to confront this planet.
That's a theory. It's a story.
It is a story.
But what do you base the gist of the story? Is it based on the Bible, or is it based on more of a personal experience that you have and you're holding very deep and very close to yourself? Like, there's so many people who go out into the Canadian Rockies, the wilderness, and, have encounters with grizzly bears and have encounters with the highs and the lows of the temperatures. And I've never talked to one who believes that this was a test of their belief, and that this outdoor adventure has brought them to this new understanding and this new meaning of spirituality.
Well, here's one talking to you. I guess I evolved. My spirituality evolved because of necessity. When you are faced with providing everything on your own, then if you can connect with some higher power that intercedes on your behalf, or that does some spectacular things, well, then it's real to you. When you test it, when you ask for help, and that very thing happens, well, then it's real to you. I guess people have to prove their own belief systems.
Right.
And I think that's what everybody is in the process of doing. I just would like to point them back to take another look at the old scriptures and read them in a 21st century lens, because the storyline is there, the past is there, and a prophecy of the future is there. And it ends in a good way.
Well, according to the Bible, it doesn't end in a good way for everybody.
No, it doesn't end in a good way for everybody. But then that's everybody's, that's been war on the earth for many, many years. And we are probably a very violent race, maybe compared to some of the other races out in the universe.
Well, let me ask you this.
Very violent compared to the animals, anyway.
You just said we're a very violent race, and if we're created in God's image, then God is very violent.
I think God is beyond violent. He doesn't look in that connection. It's like if we breed a certain animal or stock or whatever, well then we want the best. We want them to develop into a very good breeding stock, so to speak.
But
well, God wants the best for everybody, but he doesn't want to see unending cruelty, and that's what we've been doing.
But we are
in his mind,
we're learning from him. Look what he did to the Egyptians with the Red Sea. How many thousands were killed? Look at Sodom and Gomorrah one more time. Look at Cain and Abel right from the very beginning. Bang, there's a lot of violence. And if I have a hard time with this goody-goody two-shoe aspect that people put religion in, because religion is very violent. There has been more wars on this planet because of religion than any other cause.
Yes, well, I don't know if that's the only cause. There's been lots of wars for territory and gold and wealth and everything else. But the whole war between good and evil, or more higher morality, that's been played out over our planet forever, it seems like. And when one nation thinks that they have a better morality than the other, then they want to take over.
Could this be what the entire metaphor of God and the devil is in the Bible? That God is the metaphor for goodness and the devil is the metaphor for evil, and one cannot exist without the other, because this is a binary existence we're in. You have up, down, you have left, right, you have 0, 1. Could it be that the Bible itself is saying, hey, there's good and bad in everything, you figure it out?
Well, I think it does that. I mean, we can personify it and give it names, but yeah, you're right. There is a source of evil and there's a source of goodness, and maybe it helps in certain religions and certain eras to personify them. But the fact that there is that dichotomy, and agreed in a way, if there wasn't any evil at all, then we were designed to be gods on this planet. If there was no evil, how would we grow? How would we develop anything out of our choices? It would be more like we had been created by robots.
Well, what it seems to me is that we have been created by God so that they have some amusement. We're puppets. Because they, according to so many people I've spoken to over the 22 years doing this show, we are spirits in a physical body. We need to learn. We need to grow. We need to get a grasp on reality. That's what we need. It's not a matter of going to your favorite place of worship, getting on your hands and knees, and wishing and praying and. So many people are let down by religion.
I know they are. They are.
And if it's whether it's the Bible or any other religious book, I feel, and this is why I take this attitude, because I see so many people who are getting hurt, so many people who are at the end of the totem pole, at the bottom of the pile, and yet God bless them. They try so hard. And they're the people who get the least of it. So
they are the people.
So where does religion actually pay, or not pay, but give kudos to these people who, gosh, for the majority do so much and get so little in return?
Well, it would be very sad if that was all there was. But if you take the lifespan of everybody and you look at it from another perspective, that maybe we're in a boot camp here. Maybe we're here to develop some kind of spiritual maturity. And maybe all the hardships on this planet would be the lessons or the obstacles that we can learn from.
Or maybe we're just a biological unit that is born and dies, because in our existence, the moment we're conceived is the moment we start to die. That's a cruel reality of life.
And wouldn't it be horrible if we all had immortal life now and we continued this cruelty and horrible situation and chaos on our planet forever?
Is it possible
that we were not given immortality?
Maybe we don't need religion anymore. Maybe religion should be wiped away. That we should give more faith to human beings and less faith to unseen gods or deities or the second coming, or when you die, you go to heaven. Maybe we should just abolish all of that and say, you know what? Let's take responsibility for our own good things and our own bad things. Instead of saying, when something bad happens to you, God, why have you forsaken me? Or the devil made me do it. Take responsibility for your own actions and say, you know what? I screwed up. I'm sorry. But we don't, because we use religion as an scapegoat. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, religion is an scapegoat. And I think that in order for us to progress to the next evolutionary stage, we have to take a good look at religion and say, maybe we've outgrown you. Maybe we know now that Santa Claus isn't real. The Easter Bunny isn't real. The Sandman isn't real. The pumpkin doesn't rise out of the Cabbage Patch on Halloween Eve. Maybe we need to grow up inside before we can evolve any other way. Maybe?
I think that religion has definitely been outgrown and served its purpose the way it has been presented. The Old Testament was done away with the New Testament.
All right, stand by. I've got to take my final commercial break. We'll be right back. www.thecelestialproposal.com is the website. My name is Rob McConnell. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Explanation, Jane Catherine Rozek is our guest this hour. She's the author of The Celestial Proposal. Her website is www.thecelestialproposal.com. I've seen so much in my life that I've questioned the Bible a number of times. I've read it. I don't know how many times I've read the Bible. I try to make sense of the good and evil in the world, and I've come to the conclusion that we are responsible for our own lives. And when people want to take faith into a deity who says, thou shalt not kill, and yet that deity, that father, contradicts himself by doing exactly what he says shouldn't be done. And if we're all his children, man, I don't want him in my family.
But God is not the only power on our planet. If that's the case, then yes, let's do away with religion. But if there's a negative force who does not want us as human beings to get immortality, to join the God kind.
I don't want to be immortal. I don't know very many people who want to be immortal.
Well, then you probably won't be. But that invitation, and that's why I call my book The Celestial Proposal, it's a proposal that we as a human race join extraterrestrial gods in their celestial morality, in their type of government. And that's why it talks about the kingdom of God coming down to our planet.
That is an interpretation. Like you can fit the Bible into any story you want. That's one of the greatest things about the Bible.
Yeah, you can read the Bible and make it say whatever you want. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
but if you take the whole storyline, there's a purpose, there's a plot, there's a climax, and we are at the very edge of that climax because yes, this is the first generation where we could annihilate the whole race with nuclear warfare. So we're at the climax of the story, and something is going to happen really, really soon.
So you think we're in the end days? The Book of Revelations?
Well, look at the climate changes. Look at the way we're polluting our planet. I think that we are closer than we've ever been before because of these things, because we can destroy everything. We can destroy our whole planet. So do we need to be saved? Yeah, we still need to be saved. Our planet still needs to be saved.
So who's going to save us? Who's going to save us?
Well, hopefully, for those that want to believe or dare to believe, there must be some kind of extraterrestrial or heavenly power that is watching this whole situation and will rescue us, at least save the planet.
So you believe that the UFOs are going to come from the sky, the mothership, and it's going to sweep the good people away, and those like me will be left here to our fate of doom and gloom?
I believe that people who really want something after they die, who perceive that, hey, this life is pretty fantastic and pretty special, but if there's anything better after that, wow, I want to take part in that. I want to learn about that. I want to align myself with those higher extraterrestrial or heavenly powers so that I can be a part of something greater than what is even on this earth.
Or, geez, you know what? I can't face reality. I can't accept my own failures, my lack of success. I can't... I can't admit to being wrong. I have to blame a deity, good or bad. And you know what? I'm going to stick my head in the sand, and I'm just going to say the extraterrestrials are going to come and save me. I don't think it's going to work like that, personally.
If you take accountability for your life, that doesn't mean that somebody has to, that your life is meaningless. It means that you are maturing. I mean, even as our own children, when they start taking accountability for their actions.
I'm sorry, we have to go. We've run out of time for tonight. www.thecelestialproposal.com. I don't buy it one bit. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go away.